What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Minute Channel. And today I finally have a review for Days Gone. I know it's been a little bit of time. I actually finished the game earlier, but I've been doing side missions and that kind of stuff. Just want to finish the game and everything. And I have a lot of thoughts about this game. I had my first impression video come out last week, so I just have the final thoughts on everything pretty much. And yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to talk about. So let's go ahead and get started with this video. And for starters, whenever the game was announced, I wasn't actually hyped for it. I wasn't excited for it. I wasn't like, oh man, this is gonna be the next PlayStation game. I wasn't saying any of that. I thought the game looked fine, but I think it didn't look anything special outside of an overdone genre. What is this zombie genre? What there is the open world genre. In all those aspects, I didn't really think that the game was going to excel on any of them because it didn't look like that. And I was not. I was actually not disappointed because I didn't have expectations. And my expectations, what little I had, they really went and beyond there. So they really did a good job kind of just getting that together there because the game did much better than I thought they were going to do. I'll be honest, I wasn't excited for the game, and the game really got me hooked. I played for an entire week, probably like 10 days or so. So I really, really enjoyed the game a lot. It was a really good game, and I think there's a lot of good, strong aspects to it. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started with the story like always. And the story is about Deacon St. John, who is a biker. He has an AMC motor club, and they there's different. It's really hard to piece parts of the story because they go back and forth within the present and the past, and so you start piecing out more. Basically, his wife at the beginning of the game got injured, and he took her to helicopter to what he believed will be a good place for her to go so she can heal and recover. He had to separate with her because his friend was also injured, but he wasn't mortally injured or anything, so he could help his friend escape the city or anything like that. So that was pretty much the stuff about the story and everything. 2 years passed, and within these 2 years, he has not been able to find his wife, and now he believes her to be dead. He still has hope about it, and he explores the world and trying to find her and everything. But now he focuses more on his everyday life with these different factions that you are part of, and that you and your interactions with them. Every one of those factions has a storyline, and they're all tying together to the main storyline. So as you are progressing more of the story, you are actually able to learn more about these people, and there's a really good amount of character development there that I wasn't expecting from the get-go. Each and every one of the people that you meet, that give you quests, the stories and everything are really interesting. Now, all of them have a unique sense and everything. However, I do think the pacing is terrible in this game. When I heard that this game had 6 hours of cutscenes, I was like, that's a lot, but I can see that being manageable. It wasn't manageable. It was really terribly managed here. Let me give you a rough example of a classic storyline. So you go to the point where the storyline goes. The game loads for about a minute or two. You have a cutscene for 30 seconds. You walk 10 to 20 steps, maybe ride for a minute or two on your bike. Cutscene, loading screen, cutscene, loading screen, and so on. So it really doesn't piece it together nicely to the point where there is too many cutscenes and the loading screens doesn't really help the pacing of the actual story itself. I do think that this is an issue for games that are trying to say a story that wants to hear coherent, and they want to go for an emotional impact, especially in games like these where they want to rely on that emotional impact for a long time. And don't get me wrong, the emotional impact is there, but it is broken by the amount of cutscenes and loading screens that you have between these things. So it's really hard for you to get immersed in the game when the game itself has to load one more time before you do that. Or you have to go to A or place B to get the next cutscene or whatever. So I don't think the game was managed well. I think there is a good amount of story there, and the story is great. Like I said, character development is amazing. Boozer, who is your best friend in this game, is the rough guy with a heart of gold. You know, he cares about you. He's your brother, and there's a really nice relationship between Ricky, who is one of the girls that you meet later on in one of the camps. She also has a nice storyline. She does care for you, and you can see that they have a connection to each other. Pretty much all of the people that you meet down the way, from the first person that you meet in the game up until the end, there is a good interaction. There are throwbacks to different things that happen earlier in the game. There's a good mix and variety of this. Well, unfortunately, like I said, the pacing is so terribly dispersed to this game. There is a very big disconnect between the first couple hours in the game and the final game. And I think that's when my negative impact happened. I think about 15 hours whenever I did my first impressions, I really had a kind of like a bad impression about it. But the game impressed me again. Later on, the story became better, the pacing became a little bit better. So the story does get better as time goes on. It's just that at the same time, I feel like because it drags for too long, it overstays its welcome. And it just takes too long to go to the next step, and the next step, and the next step, and so on. And it can be a little tiresome. It can really be. But I'll be giving story because I do think it's pretty strong, an 8 out of 10. I think that the story was really well made, and I think that there was a lot of heart to it. I think the heart of the actual game and everything was there, and I think it was good. Now I'm going to be talking about the gameplay, and the gameplay was okay. It wasn't good, it wasn't bad, it was simply okay. There was good parts to it, there was bad parts to it, and in a genre, like I said, that is super tired to the bone, which is the open world. I think that they did as much of a good job as they could have done. Every single trope on the stereotypes as far as the open world is here. They have outposts to clean, they have tired quest where you is so insipid and full of just go from point A to point B to point C and just do the one thing: kill the enemies, fetch this thing. There's no really imagination to it, and I think it's pretty sad to see that, because the story, like I said, is really well made. It's really well thought out, and I think that they could have incorporated the missions much better to the actual story, because some of the missions itself for the main story are even fetch quests, they're even clean enemy camps and that kind of stuff, and that does affect the transition of the story and everything. The gunplay is not bad, but it's not good either. It's basically the same style as something like the Uncharted games that we're already familiar with from PlayStation. They have the same style of it. I think Ben Studios actually made one of the Uncharted games, which you can tell here. There it's a part of the bone of the story and everything. You can see that there, the frame. And it's fine. It's not good. It's not bad. It's fine. It's in between there. I can't really comment much on it. Some guns feel better than other guns. I think that some guns, the good guns, come much later. So there's an in between having really crappy guns and having really good guns. And it will take you quite a bit before you actually get the good guns and everything. So maybe they could have fixed that a little bit, but not an issue or anything like that in my sense. The crafting is really well done, and I actually really liked making some of the crazy bombs that you can get. A lot of this stuff is attached to the story. Some of this stuff is new stuff that you find. There are so many elements of creativity that you can do with these weapons and everything. There's a good weapon variety. There is a lot of crafting materials that you can use to make your own bat with nails and that kind of stuff. So there's a good variety there, and I think there's pretty a good chunk of imagination when it comes to that kind of stuff. I like that stuff. The writing on the bicycle is fantastic. With the first couple hours, I was like, fuck this game. I don't like the writing. But you get used to it, and it's really good. I really enjoy riding around and drifting and that kind of stuff. It's really good. One thing that I'll say is it's really punishing when it comes to crashing into things. And this is on the level of something like Red Dead Redemption 2, where you'll go drive around and something hits you and you're dead. And it's annoying because you're doing a mission or something like that. And it can be pretty frustrating because there's a lot of chase missions in this game where you have to chase a character to point A to point B, and they throw things at you and that kind of stuff. And sometimes you'll crash on a car, or you crash on a deer, or you crash on something and you die. So it can be pretty frustrating, especially when it comes to things like that. But the gameplay again is pretty good. I think it's not bad, not good. It's just fine, and a fine line right there. But the motorcycle does exceed my expectations there. I like all the different parts you can attach to it. You can buy a bigger tank, you can explore it and make it better. I think that is a good gameplay loop as far as developing your character and developing your bicycle itself. The skills are okay. I went through the game without actually upgrading my skills for about maybe like 10 hours in the game in. I completely forgot that the skills existed, and I did fine. Once I had the skills, though, I did some good stuff and everything. There's quite a couple of good skills, but the majority are just unnecessary. They really are. There's no sense for you to have experience points, that kind of stuff. There are many different camps that you can go to and develop relationship with them, and I think that's one of the things that I really like. They have a meter for the trust, which is kind of like a currency in a sense. You develop that meter by doing missions, by doing different stuff for them, clearing enemy camps around them, that kind of stuff. And then there's another side to this, and it's the ears you collect from the zombies that you kill. Well, I'm sorry, freakers that you kill, and that's pretty much it. You have two different currencies. The bad point about this is that the currency is not shared across all different camps. Each camp has their individual currency, and you cannot go from Iron Mike to Copeland and use the same currency. You have to have the currency from Iron Mike to Iron Mike, and then you have to use your currency to Copeland, only at Copeland. That is shitty. That is really bad, but at the same time, it kind of forces you to kind of make the tough decisions. Do I need two guns more, or do I need the development of my bicycle more? It depends. Sometimes you need one or the other. So it makes you have to make those tough decisions, because in a sense, this is a survival game, and you kind of make those tough choices to think which way you want to make your game. I don't like it, but I can respect it. I can see why it's done. Well, I can see why it's implemented. Yeah, so let's go ahead and move on to performance. And oh boy, this is another horse here to talk about. So performance is all over the place. Let's talk about the performance itself. I played the game in a PS4 Pro, expecting a game to be at least decently. I heard that it had a lot of issues in the first couple of days, and I was there too with you guys. I experienced some of these issues. I'll say this up front. Having your game be updated 5 times, 5 different patches within the first week, it's laughable and a little bit unfortunate. I do feel bad for them, but at the same time, I'm thinking, if you're going to develop a game and you're going to take this long to develop it, don't have a day one patch, don't have 5 patches in a row. That shows that your game is incomplete, and it needs some time on the oven to cook. And I'm not trying to be mean about it, because I really like the game a whole lot, but performance was an issue. There are several times throughout the game where you have frames dropping up to freezing the entire screen. This happens especially on the later types of parts of the game. I don't know where the issue lies there, but I figure at the first 10 hours of the game, no issues. You play the part smooth. There's very few issues there. But you try to do tricks with your bike, slide it, do all this kind of stuff with the nitro and everything, the game freezes. It just freezes. You try to run over a zombie with your bike, the game freezes. You try to sneak around. Sometimes the game just automatically pops millions of zombies right next to you. So there are different stuff that the game does. They just freaks out. I don't understand what the issue is, but there's multiple glitches there. I'm not faulting them a whole lot, because they did fix a lot of this stuff earlier on. And but I do think that it does reflect badly on a company when they have to do this many patches this early or in their game. I just don't think it reflects that. However, the game itself looks fantastic. It's one of the most beautiful games I've ever played in my life. It has weather night cycle. So day and night with weather, it rains, it snows, it's foggy, it's dark, it's light. The afternoon, the evening. You can enjoy each and every one of these things throughout the day. It happens automatically. You can see the game just turning into dark, into night, into day. You can wait a whole night and they wait until the next morning. Things happen. There's some. It is so wonderful. The game looks wonderful. There's different areas. There's areas that are more deserted. There are areas that have a lot of cities. There's areas that have a lot of forest. There's areas that have snow. There's areas that have everything burnt up. There's areas with a lot of lakes and that kind of stuff, and you ride through the lakes and the islands and everything. This is a really dense game with a lot of packed stuff into it, and I believe that they did a good job building the actual game. Might have been a little bit too ambitious, as I see that there's a lot of performance issues, but the amount of detail that they put into this game is commendable. There's a lot of detail into it, and I was really excited for this. Honestly, all the character models look fantastic. Some of the characters look so good. Their animation, the features is really well done. Is this a motion capture? I'm not sure if it is or not, but if it isn't, this wonderful job. They did a good job. The scenes itself, when people are talking to each other and there's emotion into it, you can hear the emotion in their voices. You can see the emotion in the facial expression, and it is really hard to capture this kind of stuff in a video game. So I have to say that was really well done, and that did affected a lot of my impressions on the story as well. The music, however, it's very uninspired. There's not a whole lot of variety to it, and the majority of the time, instead of listening to music, you just hear the ambient, your bike running, the birds flying. You hear wolves, you hear zombies, you hear all this different stuff. It's more about the ambient than it's an actual music and everything. There are very few musical pieces here and there, but when they do, they land at the right spot, on the right place, at the right time. When it's an emotional moment, they have the emotional music in the background. It does the service, but I don't think it's anything special or anything like that. I think it's completely fine, but it's not special or really well done. Went out of the way to it. It didn't excel in any kind of way, but it's fine. So now that I give you everything, what am I giving this game? This game is gonna be getting an 8 out of 10. I know there are some parts where it sounds like I am a little disappointed in the game, but I'm actually very surprised. This game exceeded my expectations, especially with the story. The story was so well done. There are many times that I was so immersed in it, I didn't want to quit the game. It was like 2, 3 in the morning. I had to work the next day, and I'm just like, I want to see what's happening next. I'm really excited for this, and I don't expect that. This game has a lot of good moments in it. I think that's what I can say. The game has a good moments in it. I can see that this game being much better in about 3-4 months down the line when they fix it. If I were to say one thing that this game does need is maybe a co-op game. This will be a good co-op game. Your friend Boozer does have a lot of impact in the story, and I think it will be a good co-op game. Maybe this could be a good game where they could fix the gameplay a little bit more when it comes to the shooting. I think this will be adding to the gameplay loop if you had more of a better shooting mechanics. I do think that. But yeah, anyways, pretty much that's it right there. The story is great, and I do recommend people to play it. I don't believe that this game is a 6 out of 5, or I'm sorry, a 6 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10, whatever. I do see some people giving that ratings out there. I do see the issues with the game, but I think the game does and has enough merits on itself to say, yeah, this is a good game. Anyway, thanks so much for watching this. If you're new, liking and subscribing will be cool, and I'll see you next time.